Nurses do not have a documentation problem. Hospitals have a documentation problem that got dumped on nurses. On a typical US shift, nurses spend about 25 to 41% of their time charting, not at the bedside. That is 3 to 5 hours of a 12-hour shift inside a screen. In 2026, the first wave of AI built for nursing, not just for doctors, is finally hitting the floor. Ambient scribes, chart chat, end-of-shift notes drafted from data already in the EHR. This video is a field guide, what each major tool actually does, who it is for, and what it will never be allowed to do. If you remember one thing, remember this. There are two completely different categories of AI for nurses. Bucket 1, hospital-issued clinical AI. These live inside or next to the EHR. They can see the chart. They are under a business associate agreement. Your hospital buys them. You cannot just download them after shift. Bucket 2, personal tools. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, student apps. Useful for education drafts, studying, and de-identified questions. Dangerous if you paste a real patient into them. Mixing those two buckets is how most listicles get nurses in trouble. We will start with the hospital tools, because that is what is actually changing a 12-hour shift. First, Microsoft Dragon Copilot, the nursing version. If you have heard of Nuance or DAX, this is that family. Microsoft bought Nuance years ago. In 2026, they expanded Dragon Copilot specifically for nursing workflows. What it does, it listens during the nurse-patient interaction and turns that conversation into draft flowsheet documentation, not just a physician's soap note. You can pause the recording, preview the draft, edit it, then send it to the EHR. It can also pull medical content and health system protocols, so it is trying to be both a scribe and a quick reference. Microsoft has called this the first commercially available ambient documentation product built for nursing. US general availability was slated for December 2026. Systems like Advocate Health started pilots earlier, first a small unit, then hundreds of nurses. What nurses report when it works? Clocking out closer to on time, and conversations that do not die every time someone has to face the computer. What it does not do, it does not sign the chart for you. The nurse still reviews. That is the whole safety model. Second, Abridge for nursing. Abridge started as an ambient scribe for clinicians. The nursing product is different on purpose. It is built around flowsheets and verification. You talk naturally at the bedside. The system drafts flowsheet rows. Then it shows linked sources, so you can see what piece of the conversation or chart the draft came from before you accept it. That trust and verify loop is the product. Nursing documentation is high frequency, high liability, and very structured. A pretty paragraph is useless if the flowsheet is wrong. Abridge has said nurses at more than 250 of its health system clients can access the nursing product. Development involved nurses at places like Mayo Clinic plus Epic. KLAS published a first report specifically on nursing AI and highlighted Abridge in that category. Best mental model. Abridge is conversation becomes chartable rows with receipts. Third, and for a lot of US hospital nurses, this is the one that will actually appear on their screen. Epic's own AI. Epic's clinician assistant is called ART. Around it sit features nurses care about: AI charting, end-of-shift notes, and inpatient insights. Here is why Epic matters more than a startup brand. Epic already sits on a huge share of US hospital beds. If the scribe is built into the chart, you are not copy-pasting from another app at 6:40 while the next shift is waiting. What it can do for nurses, it can draft an end-of-shift note from data already in the chart: vitals, MAR, flowsheets, orders, progress on the goals from the start of the shift. You edit, you sign. It can listen during care and draft flowsheet documentation from the conversation. Early pilot numbers that got attention. At Mercy, average time on an end-of-shift note dropped from about 3.5 minutes to around 32 seconds when Art drafted the summary. On-time complete notes went way up. Treat that as one system's early result, not a guarantee on your unit. The honest take, Epic will not always be the smartest model in a demo. It may still win because it is already where the work lives. Fourth, Ambience Healthcare, Chart Chat for nursing. This one is easy to confuse with a scribe. It is not only a scribe, it is a conversational co-pilot on top of the chart. Inpatient nurses can ask plain language questions. What is the trend on this patient's labs? What did Knights document about the new confusion? What is the current order set versus what the last note says? Answers are supposed to come from physician notes, hospital policies, documentation, orders, and recent labs with citations. If the model does not have enough data, it is designed to say so instead of guessing. Cleveland Clinic was the first health system named as a pilot partner, helping shape a nursing-specific roadmap. Why this category exists? Nurses do not lack data. They lack time to assemble data on a long-stay, high-complexity patient before handoff. Best mental model. Chart Chat is Control F for the entire chart in English. Fifth, Heidi Health. Dragon, Abridge, Epic, and Ambience are mostly system purchases. Heidi shows up in nurse-facing roundups as the tool an individual clinician is more likely to actually get their hands on, especially outside a giant Epic rollout. It started as a physician documentation tool and added nursing-specific outputs, structured shift notes, handover summaries, care plan updates from a captured interaction. Think of Heidi as the bridge product, ambient documentation for people whose hospital has not handed them Dragon or Abridge yet. Still in the clinical documentation category, not a consumer chatbot. Pricing moves. Always check current pricing and whether your organization will cover it and sign the right agreements. If your hospital already standardized on Epic Art or Dragon, Heidi is probably not your daily driver. If you are in a clinic, telehealth, or a smaller shop, it may be the first serious option you see. Documentation AI is half the story. The other half is this dose okay, and according to whom? These tools do not replace your hospital's protocol. They are faster reference layers. Hippocrates AI. Nurses have used Hippocrates as a drug reference for years. The AI layer lets you ask in plain English, interactions, contraindications, renal dosing flags, and get a structured clinical answer. This is the right family of tool for a 2 a.m. can they have ibuprofen on warfarin question. ChatGPT is not. Open evidence. AI medical search with citations, free for NPI-verified US clinicians, including many nurse practitioners, strong when you need a sourced answer, not a vibe. Vera Health. Evidence-graded answers plus a large calculator library, also aimed at licensed clinicians with a search-first workflow. Up-to-date Expert AI and Dynamed's Dyna AI. These are the incumbent hospital library products with a generative front end. If your facility already pays for one, start there. The AI is a skin on a reference your risk team already knows. Rule of thumb. Use these to find and check. Use your facility policy to act. Now the tools you can open on your own phone and the line you cannot cross. Claude. Best of the general models for long documents, policies, care plan templates, study packets. Explain this guideline like I am precepting a new grad. It is usually conservative about acting like a prescriber. Good. ChatGPT. Fine for patient education drafts in plain language, NCLEX style practice questions, and rewriting a teaching sheet at a 6th grade reading level. Never with identifiers. Never as a second opinion on a live patient. Perplexity. Use it when you want links. Show me the current guideline on X is a search job, not a chatbot memory job. Good Nurse. Purpose-built for students and NCLEX-style rationales. If you are in school, this is a different product than a hospital scribe. Do not confuse them. The red line is simple. If the text contains a name, a medical record number, a date of birth, a rare diagnosis combo that could identify someone, or anything copied from a real chart, it does not go into a consumer model. Period. Hospitals are putting AI language into contracts for a reason. AI does not get to replace your judgment, set staffing, or discipline you. Trust the tool as a draft. You are still the nurse. If you only need a map, here it is. Your hospital runs Epic and bought the nursing AI package. Learn art and AI charting first. That is the tool on your existing login. Your system rolled out Microsoft? Dragon Copilot is the ambient flowsheet tool to practice pausing, previewing, and editing. Your system picked Abridge? Your skill is verifying linked sources, not writing from a blank page. You keep getting lost in long-stay charts before handoff. Chart chat style copilots are the category to watch. Nobody bought anything, and you are drowning in notes. Heidi is the documentation conversation. Hippocrates or your facility reference is the med conversation. Claude is the off-shift writing conversation. None of these tools make you a worse nurse if you treat them as drafts. They make you a worse nurse if you stop looking. If you want the next video, say so in the comments. A side-by-side of what a shift note looks like from Dragon versus Epic versus Heidi. Same fake patient, 3 outputs, what a nurse should catch before signing. Subscribe if you want this series to stay specific, not Best AI Tools 2026. Tools for nurses. That is the whole point.